Hi guys, today I'm going to show you how to install the M7 Gimbals from the Frsky Q X7 in the Turnigy Evolution. It's a long video, there's a lot of steps to it that are really important to follow, otherwise it won't work. A lot better than the old gimbals that we had in there. It's an awesome $40 upgrade to the Turnigy Evolution. What I'm actually going to do is we're going to remove these 4 screws from the M7 gimbals. The gimbals on the Turnigy Evolution, which is this one right here, the profile there is about the same as these. Now the original Tyrannus gimbals are a lot deeper, so it's harder to fit them on. I've been doing a bit of modification for mounts that basically they're on this side, 1, 2, 3 and 4, that hold the original gimbal in place, as well as there's a 5th one which is actually for screwing. It's one of the 8 to screw it together. I don't think we particularly need them. Made it a lot easier to fit it together by removing that one plus the 4 there. Those 4 screw holes that would come in here, we just have to remove the other side of that as well to make sure that it fits. This is the M7 gimbal, you can see here. This is the modified one. Now I've done this quite rough. I did it with a Dremel and a cutting bit. Basically what I've done is this ring here, I've just cut straight across, so straight across there, keeping for the screws to actually hold this aluminium plate onto the gimbal. If you have a hacksaw, you could do it that way if you're lucky and have a mill, and then that would be really easy to do it, and you could probably make it a lot neater. You don't see any of that, so you don't have to worry. On this side, you got the aluminium plate, which is pretty much flush with the outside, but as you can see on this one, we do have to make it a bit smaller. So what I did is I basically got some side cutters and I cut off 1 corner and 2 corners and 3, and corner number 4 I just made it sort of a little bit more round, and then I ran over it with the Dremel as well. So as you can see here, I've just taken those corners off to be flush with the mounting holes for the tensioner, and to not actually take off any of the spring mechanisms and where the bearings are. On this side, where this hole sensor is, there's 2 screws. Now I have actually, if you can see that ridge there, basically what I did is I shaved off to be flush with the original outside of the gimbal. So on this one, the original one, you'll see that on this side it just has a little tiny bit of a lip, and with the aluminium frame gone, then it's a little bit more prominent. All that we want to do is just want to take that off to be flush, and that's still going to hold. It's a little bit of a structured part, but it made it a lot easier to fit. I'm going to now pull apart this Evolution and put the gimbals in here. Okay, so I've got this case set up, ready to go. We got the gimbal one. The hole sensor is on the outside in this build, so I'm going to put the first one in. So that's as simple as it is. The hard part is obviously modifying the actual gimbal itself. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fire up the hot gun, the hot glue gun. I'm going to sort of tack it because I want to be able to move it reposition it if I need to. Okay, so here it is. I've hot glued on the top, on the bottom, and on this one I couldn't really do this corner because of the wire, and the bottom as well. The wires we need to then put into this harness that's right here. It splits up, so we're gonna have to do that. These gimbals fit in here really nice. I've adjusted this one so it's in mode 2, but they seem to be fitting in there really nice. I've put the back cover on, it fits. Quite easy to do this. On the harness, the black one is ground, channel 1, channel 2 and voltage, and then ground, channel 1, channel 2 and voltage. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get the gimbal and we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to cut them. We've got ground, yellow and green, channel 1 and 2, and then red is voltage. And then we're going to just do a little jumper. Okay, so the two problems with these Hall sensor gimbals is because the Hall sensors, there's polarity to the magnets, and there's basically a north and south. The Hall sensors were made for the Tyrannus and also the 7X. They've set it out and then modified it in the firmware what way the sticks go. Now with a potentiometer you can basically change the way that a stick moves by swapping the positive and negative around. With Hall sensors you can't because it's a little IC circuit. So the easiest way is to turn the magnet. Now the magnets have a north and south. These magnets are luckily marked. So on one side of the magnet there's a black side and it's split in the middle, and then the other side is silver, which all that you have to do is rotate it 180 degrees so the black side is facing the Hall sensor, and then that swaps the polarity around. It's quite easy to do if you do the wiring the same as mine, which is ground, yellow, green, voltage, ground, green, yellow, voltage, which gets all the sticks into a setup for mode 2. If you're doing it that way, you're going to have to change the throttle and the roll. There's two ways to do this. You can just reverse them in the firmware. Then your throttle stick, you're going to have to push it up every time you turn it on because it will give you a stick error. Once you reverse it, it doesn't do it in the EEPROM, it just does it for that particular model. So you have to do it for all the models. I think it's better to just rotate it and have it done. You've got two screws here that hold the Hall sensor on. It's the second set of screws just underneath it, and that will lift the Hall sensor and reveal the magnet as well. I've already done that one, so I'm going to do the throttle. All that we have to do is wiggle that out and the two screws will drop. Now you're not going to be able to see it, but there's the magnet. Behind that's the bearing. On the top of the magnet, this half is silver, but you can't see it underneath. On the second half, they've colored it in black, which is really helpful. It's just on one side, so you have to watch that. The aim of the game, there's a little screw there. Loosen that screw. You don't have to loosen it all the way, just enough that you can then put some leverage on the back of the magnet, pop it out, rotate it 180 degrees so the black's on top, the silver's down the bottom, pop it back on, put the screw on, and that's all you have to do. Put the cap back on with the Hall sensor. Conveniently, I've lined up, there's this cap here, that's not intentional, and hopefully I should be able to get to that screw using a relatively small screwdriver. I've loosened that screw just enough that I can put some pressure with a flathead screwdriver. If you see just there, I've just popped that magnet off. It's a magnet, so you can use the screwdriver to get the rotation. Okay, once you've got that aligned, what you want to do is just push it back on, and then you can get your screwdriver again and tighten that screw. We're going to put this back on here. Okay, so put it all back together. Everything's working. If I turn it on with the throttle down, we've got it coming up. Everything fits together really nice. The sticks, you can sometimes hear the wires underneath them, but otherwise they are working really well. Something that I do like is, you probably can't see it, if I turn up the light, you can still see some of the LEDs shining through the center sticks, which I think is cool. It's not as bright as it once was, but I think it's enough to sort of give you that little bit of a cool look. The last thing that you need to do to this radio to get it to work right with these sticks is to do a stick calibration. Now, because they're Hall sensors, they are made for 3 volts. This runs 3.3 volts. The sticks are a little bit off. Hall sensors are different than potentiometers, and just Turnigy have a limitation on stick calibration. So if I try to do a stick calibration, it won't let me. I would say give it a try, but you can't exit the stick calibration because it's saying that the endpoints are too far off. So pretty much you can't use that. So we can still manually do that. So if we go into settings, and I've already done this one, but we've got our endpoints, and you could try the ones that I have here. So then the first one is throttle down, and then the second one is your throttle up, and you go to Betaflight and you try to adjust them until they get to 1100 and 1900, and you can get them pretty set for all the sticks. And then you've got your sub trim, which your sub trim basically is your center point, so try to get that to 1500 as close as possible. I've got 7%, 20%, 1% and 82%, so channel 4 is really far off, but that's fine. We fixed that all up and they're all working quite well, and I hope that these gimbals really make an improvement. They are a bit heavier in the radio, but I really like it, guys. These are the endpoint and the sub trim settings that I've put in. If anyone has any questions, comment down below. If you like this video, let me know, give me a thumbs up. I really hope that you enjoyed this, and happy flying.